Hi, everyone. I hope all is well with you. So I am back to bring you some more royal empowerment. And I also thought before I get started with this message, I want to just share with you some good news. So what I have been doing too, because I always just want to make sure that spiritually I'm supported. And so I have just found out today that my ministries, I Am Pretty Doc, has been chartered through the National Association of Christian Ministers. So I am grateful that they have took the time to really look at my ministry. And so I'm going to share that with you at a later time on my page. I'll show you that information. And this is not the first charter that I have through the National Association of Christian Ministers. I also have that same charter for my sorority. But this time with this charter here, I Am Pretty Doc Ministries, that embodies all of what I do, such as with my sorority and this broadcast network and any initiative that I may push through my ministries. So that's what I Am Pretty Doc Ministries is all about. And I know some people disagree with that name, but what matters is that God validates what I do. And that's why it's important for everybody to get to know the Lord, to get into your purpose, to figure out what does he have to say about your life. And here's the thing about getting into your purpose, especially if your purpose you discover, for one, it might be different from what people are accustomed to, but the uniqueness in your ministry, in your purpose, is really what is going to help people. All right. So today you're going to learn about the blessing in finding your purpose. Now, if you're in your purpose, this does not mean that this message excludes you, because you also want to continue to embrace your purpose. Sometimes in your purpose, you might get discouraged. I've encountered that within the recent year. Okay. I've been discouraged in my purpose, and at times you might even lose your zeal. So that happens sometimes when you are under a spiritual attack. And that do happens on some occasions. So particularly today, I'm going to discuss with you the blessing in finding your purpose. How do you know you're in your purpose? And also, how do you thrive in your purpose? And when you are successful in your purpose and it pleases God. So, first of all, when you are in your purpose, you're going to love what you do. And it may not always start out like that, but when you're in your purpose, you're going to love it or really love it at some point. For example, and a lot of examples you're going to see me use on these broadcasts is from my teaching profession, because that's where I spend a lot of my time, okay, in the classroom. And I love it. I love what I do. And my road to this profession is teaching. I was not always the best professional. And I'm not saying I'm the best professional now, but I know when I started out, I had a whole lot of growing to do. And my passion for teaching was developing. I had loved my students, but it took some time for me to appreciate the profession and to see where I fit in and where's my purpose in this profession. And I think a lot of times, if we could just see some things that we experience, we would have picked things different. Like for me, I teach art. And in my profession, a lot of people look down on art teachers. A lot of people can turn their noses up at an art teacher. And it's not everybody, but it happens at times. And sometimes as an art teacher, you just wonder, and maybe not just art, but other things that are not of your basic core subjects like reading, math, and all that stuff. if we would have been able to pick our purpose to be a teacher, we probably would have, and seeing the things that we seen, we probably would have picked something different. But I'm glad that with my road and my experience, I learned why what I do is needed, why what I do is important. And so this is something that I had to learn to have a passion for, and what have came with experience and also research. So that's one of the blessings that I've uncovered with being in my purpose. So what if you're on the part of life where you hate what you do every day? What if you work a job that you can't even stand? You work a job, you really just see yourself doing this for a long time and just miserable. Well, that's how you know you're not in your purpose. Because when you're in your purpose, you're ready for this thing. When you're in your purpose, you're preparing for this thing. When you're in your purpose, you're going to find some ways to go over and beyond so that in your purpose, people will know what you stand for. Okay? People will know what you take joy in concerning what God has given you to nurture in your purpose, no matter what your profession is. Okay? Like with me, I love being an educator, and I'm glad and happy that I found my purpose in education. But you got some people, you love what you do in health. You love what you do in business. You love what you do in other areas, engineering, science, whatever it is. So when you love what you do, because this is something that you're good at, you got experience, you learn things that no one can take from you, and you love what you do, that's your purpose. So what to do if you hate what you're doing now? Sometimes on your way to your purpose, you might be in a place that you despise. I want to tell you to use that as motivation for you to not be in that place forever. How do you do that? You got to remember, faith without works is dead. The worst thing you can do is when you are working in a place that you don't like and you're not preparing to be in the place where you would like to be at. Okay? If you're not sowing anything into your purpose, you're not going to prosper in that purpose. Okay? Because according to James 2:26, faith without works is dead. That's like, okay, you got to treat your purpose like you would if you were in college. You got to, just like when you're in college, you are working towards getting that bachelor's degree, right? And even though you don't have that degree yet, you don't see that degree yet, you just believe that if you do all the studying, if you do all the exams, if you do all the internships and things like that, that you're going to get your degree. That's the same way you got to be about your purpose. You got to put in work. You got to put in work and know at the end of all that you have done, God is going to do some of the things that you can't do. Okay? God is going to do the rest if you just start sowing the seed. You got to start going to work at that purpose. Okay? That can be applied to a business, to a ministry, to whatever it is that God has gifted you to do. So again, if you're working somewhere that you hate to work, don't expect to get into your purpose if you're not on the side building, getting your resources, getting that stuff together. If it's a business, start coming up with a business plan and a logo. How does this look for you? But if you're working a job and you just saying, well, you don't like this job, but you're not trying to plan for your dream job, your dream career, you're not trying to do research on how can you get from point A to point B, then how can you enter that purpose? Because God going to want you to have some type of preparation for that purpose in most cases. Not saying that he can't launch you into something and you be successful with it, but you need preparation. Even with me becoming a teacher, I was not ready when I thought I was ready to be a teacher. And so by the time that I was mature enough to step in the classroom, that's when I was able to grow in my purpose. Sometimes even when you step into your purpose, you might have to grow some more. Okay. So that's how you know when you are in your purpose. When you really love what you do, you're passionate about what you do. And another thing is too, and I don't know if y'all ever felt this way, but you get real irritated whenever you're working hard at something and it seems like there's an adverse circumstance to get in your way or to slow you down from being effective in your purpose. So that might irritate you, and it might even discourage you if you feel like it's something that's in your way, like a hindrance or an obstacle while you're working in your purpose. So with your purpose, you're willing to defend your purpose. Okay. As a teacher, sometimes if people make decisions that affect how I teach, then I'm going to feel quite uncomfortable. I'm going to feel a little apprehensive because I personally feel like I won't be effective in some ways. It doesn't mean you quit. It doesn't mean you give up. It don't mean you throw a tantrum, but you hang in there and you try to figure out, well, how can you navigate this? And the same thing in a business, okay? I bet you when the pandemic happened, a lot of people that were doing what they love, they felt some type of way because things were shutting down and the business was not being what it was supposed to. Some people businesses probably didn't even recover or was at its best since then. But when you're in your purpose, you're going to find a way. You're going to find a way to get that thing to happen, okay? And you're going to keep on pushing your faith, growing your faith, figuring out what will work for you, all right? So I want to also discuss, how do you thrive in your purpose? I want you all to think about keeping it simple, okay? And when I say keep it simple, start off by always doing right by others for your business, your ministry, your career, your plans, your goals, your initiatives, your projects, whatever it is that's in your purpose. In order for it to have longevity, you gotta treat people right routinely, and you got to be genuine with it, because if you're not genuine with it, oh, that's going to show. Okay, it's going to show, and eventually the snake is going to reveal itself if you are not practicing or earnestly doing right by people. And you got to be careful, because you got some people that'll throw some shade at you, they'll try to sabotage you and stuff, and that stuff comes to light, you know. Especially if they try to do that to a child of God that can see through it, okay? So you always want to do right by people, because, again, that's what's going to keep people coming back and supporting whatever it is that you do. And you got to be mindful to do the best you can to exercise your integrity. Do good when no one's watching. Like with me at work, I know that there's times where our administrators are not watching to see when we leave. And I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave whatever time that I know is appropriate. So if they're not watching, I'm not trying to slip out the building at 2:59 when we're supposed to leave at 3 o'clock. I'll wait till 3 o'clock. Okay? So I'm not trying to slip out the building at 2:45. Okay, I'll wait till 3 o'clock. Have I always done that? No, I'm being honest. But now I've gotten to the point where I just want whoever I work for to be reliable. Okay. And also for them to look at me to be reliable. That's what I intended to say. I want them to look at me to be reliable. Where they're looking for me, they know I'm where I'm supposed to be. That's the relationship I want to have with my colleagues and co-workers, especially those that appreciate when you are a genuine person. So that has its perks, okay? That's a blessing in itself when people know if they can't say nothing about anybody else, they know you on your duty, you on your post, you where you supposed to be. You're not doing some messy stuff, okay? You're doing what you're supposed to do. So some scriptures to supplement that is Proverbs 10:4, because it lets you know that he that dealeth with a slack of hand becomes poor. Now, I know this is talking about money, but the rest of that scripture also deals with a person being diligent and having abundance. Okay. Either abundance or riches. I forgot exactly what term, but I do know that's there's a part in the scripture that tells you about being diligent. So when you're continually doing what you're supposed to do, you're continually doing right by people, you're continually trying to give people the best what you can offer them for whatever service that you're doing, then you're going to have some good longevity. Okay. So even if you're not in education, customers, if you're working a hair salon or whatever, clients, if you are a therapist or somebody, if you are a anybody that has patrons, okay, if you have a patron to your ministry or whatever, you want to seek to do right by people as much as possible. And with me being the leader of a Christian sorority, my goal is to use my heart in how I regard the women, to have understanding. Okay, so if you seek to try to understand with the heart of righteousness according to God, then you definitely got it going on with thriving in your ministry. And it may not be immediate right then and there, but eventually people are going to start talking about your ministry. People are going to start supporting your ministry, and then you're going to start seeing things happen. And we're going to get to that part shortly. So another thing is too, from my experience in education, I noticed that when your students know that you love them, they know that you care about them, they know that you're not a mean person, 9 times out of 10, if something happened that's questionable to the parent, and I notice sometimes I've had the parents question the students about me, and the parent will say, well, how do you feel about this teacher? Now, if the student is not trying to avoid consequences for something that they normally don't do, and this usually is not a troublemaker. If something happens in my classroom, maybe like a little accident or something, and the student is not trying to avoid consequences because they don't like your class or whatever, they're going to speak well of you to your parent. I've had that happen on some occasions. Okay, where the parent asks the student, well, how's the teacher? How do you like the teacher? Now, if the student is known for not doing the right thing all the time, trying to get away with stuff or whatever, then that's a different story. But genuinely, with a student that appreciates what you do, they see how you treat them, they understand that you might make a mistake or so, or you might not understand something, they're going to let the parents know, I don't think she's a bad teacher, but this just happened or whatever. I don't think she hates me, but this happened. So, or they might not say anything at all or whatever. If it's something that could be blown out of proportion or whatever, they might not say anything at all if they know you haven't tried to hurt them, if they know you haven't tried to do something bad to them. So your integrity, your heart, and your character, that's going to have longevity in your purpose. That's how people stand up and protect you too. Your patrons, everybody, whoever supports you, when you're good to them and you're so good to them or whatever, if they're people of truth, they're going to tell the truth about what you've given them. Okay. So this brings me to when you are successful in your purpose and it pleases God. Okay. And what happens is he's going to drop things in your lap. You're not going to even go looking for it. You're just going to come across it. Okay. And I had that happen in my life. One of the biggest examples of me seeing that happen is with my experience with the I Am Her community, the I Am Her international community. And so the awards I received, that was dropped in my lap because I did not know anything prior about I Am Her international. And when God put that in my lap or whatever, you know, I accepted the nominations. And even with me being directly in my purpose. And I've told my sorors this at some point, and probably somebody else. I was not expecting to become Miss I Am Her International. But yet I was working my purpose, and I ended up being affiliated with an organization that tells my story. It tells my story through the letters of H-E-R. When I was doing a press conference on Saturday with I Am Her International, one of the things that spoke to me truthfully is, even though when you read I Am Her, and I know that I am means God, but when I heard the founder of that organization state that it's, that part means God, that was just like a woe to me. Okay. That was more like a woe in like a good way. Like, oh, okay, now I get it. Okay. I am her. God is behind her. God is with her. God is around her. Okay. Being healed, empowered, and resilient. And so it was just like a moment of an epiphany. I thought it was just the H-E-R, but when I heard the founder again say, I am is the God factor in this organization, everything made even more sense. Okay, so I'm grateful. So even when God backs what you do and he's pleased with your purpose, he see the progress, he see your dedication. When you got people that won't even acknowledge you and what you do, and sometimes it happens because sometimes people are jealous of you, and these can be people that are over you too, because when they was in your space, they probably ain't did as much impactful things as you have done. But when you got people that try to evade giving you your props, God is going to bring that thing to you. So now here I go, magazines or whatever, magazines falling in my lap. All right. Articles, stuff like that. All that stuff, when God is pleased with you, you're going to see some things that you did not expect follow you. So I want all of y'all to be encouraged in your purpose. Y'all have it going on. I want to say hello to the ladies that are on here with me. Hello, President Conyers. Hello, Minister Best. And I want y'all to be blessed, be encouraged, and I will see you all in the next broadcast.